All right, welcome class. This is your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and welcome to week number 6. That is right, week number 6 of your 7314 course, which is your reference services and sources course. Again, as always, I am your professor, Dr. Jace Austin, and we are going to do this week we are going to do a few course updates, and then we are going to do some of the non-company research sources. We're going to take a look at those for business reference. Now, again, in order to actually learn these databases, you are going to have to do some self-exploration of your own. There are YouTube videos for pretty much any database that I show you all. So you can find those and look those up if you want to advance your proficiency on those databases. But I, Dr. JS, do want to just kind of formally introduce you to these databases and let you know what they are used for, give you a kind of taste, and from there you are going to have to do some self-directed learning. Now, if you want to be a librarian, then that is what you are going to have to get used to, is self-directed learning. So hopefully once I just introduce you to some sources, some databases, and what they are capable of doing, you will put the ball in your hands and advance it further. So without further ado, let's do some course updates, and then from there we will do some database review. Let's do it. First of all, we do need to go ahead and send out a first reminder. There will be several other reminders about this, but let's do a first reminder that there is a synced session coming up on October 8th. That will be Amy Nicholas, and so that will be next week. So we will be hearing from Amy Nicholas next week, and that's a good reminder for me because I need to drop her an email and just make sure that she and I are up to speed, but she will be talking about services to the differently abled. So again, that's going to be October 8th, which is going to be next Thursday, and we will be meeting, I believe, at 5:30. We will be meeting at 5:30. Let me just double check that. Hold on. Yes, so I will create a Zoom link for that meeting next week, actually. My Zoom links sometimes disappear if I make them too early. So I always just save them until like 1 or 2 days in advance. So next week I will make a Zoom link. We will meet at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. Please adjust for your time. So if you are on the East Coast, know that that will be 6:30. If you are in California, know that this will be 3:30. And if you are in Hawaii, Eric, then I guess this is going to be 1:30, and Ashley in Alaska, 12:30. Your attendance is worth 3 points. I expect to see you there. These experts are coming in to share their expertise with you. They are doing it free of charge. Please do not take that for granted, because there are times when they will charge, some of these different library entities will charge you well over $100, maybe even $125 to $250 just for a webinar. So please make sure that our 2 sync sessions that we're going to have in this course, that you are there for those. Again, one will be on October the 8th. The other will be, let me just take a look at the syllabus, November 12th, and both of those will start at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. If you have any questions, please ask me. I'm just an email away, austinj@missouri.edu. Any place, any time, any town, I will help you out and answer your questions. So please let me know. Also, another thing that you have upcoming that I want you to have hopefully already started on, but if not, get started right away, will be your virtual reference practice and paper. And this is going to be due this coming Sunday, which is October 4th, at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. So again, if you are on the East Coast, then we are talking actually 12:59 p.m. 12:59 a.m. I'm sorry, on East Coast time, which would actually be Monday morning, very early Monday morning. Now, I do give a little bit of a grace period. That cutoff is to protect myself, because if I have students who do some form of grade challenge, then I can say, well, this was the set deadline. So theoretically, I can penalize for any time that is after the deadline. However, I will say I probably will not penalize anything that comes in prior to me waking up on the morning of October 5th. So, you have a few hours of a grace period in which you can work on that. But to be safe rather than sorry, get it in before 11:59 p.m. on October the 4th, which is this coming Sunday, and that is Central Time that I am working with. Okay, capiche? We got it. So yeah, you have two things coming up that reference practice and paper and that synced session. We have both of those things coming up in a matter of the next 2 weeks. So be vigilant and be on top of things, and then your grade will not suffer. Let's see what we got next. Another thing that I wanted to show you all real quick is that the unassignments, as far as I can tell, I've looked in the grade book and things seem to be fine. Everybody has now turned in their database discussion / unassignment. And what I would really, really like for you all to do, because part of this is cooperative learning, and I hope you all realize this. So when I assigned this database assignment, yeah, it was partially so that I could get the information from you all, but it was also so that you could learn from each other. So I would like for you all, if at all possible, to go in and review the database unassignments that have now all been completed and turned in, and learn about these various databases. Your classmates have done the legwork for you. All you have to do is read. And if you see a database that is of interest to you, then you may want to get on that database and check it out and see the features. But your classmates have all given you a very good synopsis of the database that they dealt with. And so if you want to learn about these databases, which I highly recommend, especially if you are going to go into public services or you are planning to go into public services, then just go ahead, please, and look at that discussion prompt, review what your classmates have said about those databases, as that can be very helpful information. And then even play around with some of those databases. By the way, I just happened to notice that there is an empty liquor bottle that I am using as a decoration behind me. So please try your best not to be distracted by that. I know it probably looks weird, but sorry about that. Okay, now let's take a look at some business databases, because this is all the course updating that we have for now. Pause. All right, so we do need to just jump into it, because again, this is probably going to be one of those longer videos. This is going to actually probably be close to 40 minutes. I know last week was 30 minutes. And again, please speed these videos up if you need to. But one thing that I wanted to just go back over and just kind of explain again is this this whole idea of the cheat sheet when it comes to breaking down your business resources. So you're going to have basic categories that you're looking at when you are looking up company or when you're looking up business information. Typically, you're either looking at company, you are looking at industry, you are looking at investment, or you are looking at consumer information, demographics, ratios, and that sort of thing. So we talked a lot about company research last week, and we are going to kind of segue, still doing company focused stuff, but we're going to segue into the idea of getting news, because there is a news database for business, which is Business Source. Actually, for Mizzou, I think it's Business Source Complete. I mean, Business Source Premier instead of Business Source Complete, but let's make sure. So yeah, we've got Business Source Premier. Coastal, which is where this cheat sheet came from, Coastal Carolina University, they have Business Source Complete, which has a little bit more stuff in it than Business Source Premier. But Business Source Premier will get you everything that you really need for probably a lot of your basic reference needs. So I'm going to log in. And as you can see, this database looks very similar to your other types of EBSCO databases, but this is very useful for finding specific types of information including company research. So this can be used as company research, even though we didn't review it last week. It can also be used to find things such as SWOT analyses for industries, as well as news on industries or companies, or on SIC codes and so forth. So, or NAICS codes and so forth. So let's say, for instance, and I've been using Revlon as an example a lot. Let's say that we wanted to do a search for just anything about Revlon. We could do the keyword, and I am going to go ahead and do the keyword. So we can put Revlon in as a keyword and not switch this to anything more specific, and then we could just hit search. And if you do that, as you can see, we've got basically 2,200 things. And these things mention Revlon at some point. But if we wanted to be more specific and more tactical about just specifically focusing on information that deals specifically with Revlon, what we might want to do is change this from a keyword search into a company entity search. So we'll change that from select a field to CO and see what happens. Hopefully our results will drop, and they did. We went from 2,200 results to 1,400 results. And everything here, at least theoretically, should be not just mentioning Revlon, but should be actually about Revlon. So these things should be a little more targeted and tactical. And when I tell you about SWOT analyses, these are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And a lot of people love this type of information because a lot of times the opportunities and threats for a particular company within a specific industry will also be recognized opportunities and threats for other companies within that same entity. So let's go ahead and open up our Revlon Inc. SWOT analysis. As we can see here, this is something that came out on January the 8th of this year, 2020. So it's not something that would be particularly out of date. So it's something that is pretty reliable on top of everything else. This is probably produced by MarketLine. That is my assumption. Yeah, MarketLine. And so you can dive in and you can get some company information and so forth, but you can also get, like I said, the strengths, the weaknesses. You got them there. Weakness, ooh, financial performance. That's not what you want to see as a weakness. You can also see opportunities, and you can see threats. So you've got that. If I go back to the result list, there are other types of information, including a MarketLine company profile. This one is from September of 2019. So it's a year old, which I wouldn't say is particularly out of date. Something that's a year old, you can still find a lot of reliable information in, and MarketLine produces a lot of the information that you are going to see in your Business Source Premier or Business Source Complete searches. Now, this is a relevant search, and a lot of times, like for instance, a lot of students actually don't want stuff that's international. They're looking for domestic. But if you're just looking for the most recent information, then you can come here to where it says, let me make sure you all see this, where it says relevance. You can change this to date newest, and you can switch it up. And now the most recent things that have come out are going to be the things that are at the top of your returns. Now you can also toggle a few other things. If you want to limit to full text, you are welcome to do that. If you want to limit to source types, this can be very useful when looking at this database. So if you wanted to specifically find SWOT analyses, or if you wanted to just specifically look for newspaper articles or industry profiles, which a lot of times people want to do, or magazine or newspaper articles, etc., this is your way to go about it. So now I have put this to a limit of industry profiles, and now everything that I should have, these are going to be international, but they are international industry profiles. So I want to show you a few other things in Business Source Complete / Business Source Premier, because this is going to be a go-to database for a lot of people when doing specific types of searches. So, you can play by a few other things here. And one other thing that I would just kind of play around with is, again, if you are doing industry research, then you are going to want to find your NAICS codes. And again, I'm just going to Google a NAICS codes for cosmetics. We're going to put this in, and I'm just going to steal this bad boy right here and just plug it right on in. So if I want to concentrate on trying to find news and information on this particular industry, then I can plug in my NAICS code and hit search. And here I am. I've got a lot of returns here, 44,000 returns. If you ever see that many returns, you are probably going to want to, if you've changed this to a date newest, you're going to probably want to change this back to a relevance search and have your relevance be what rules the day. So there you have that. This database searches very similarly to how other EBSCO databases tend to search. And you can, again, look for specific geographies, specific industries, publications, subjects, and so forth. So there we go there. That is Business Source Complete. It is something that you need to have in your toolbox, so please get acquainted with it. Let's move on to the next thing. All right, now another place to go for news, and I'm actually going to go directly into the Wall Street Journal for this, is, I'm actually going to go, I meant to say, into Mid-Continent's access of the Wall Street Journal for this, because I just have, all right, sorry, I'm grabbing my library card number here. I know this is kind of being a mess. This thing, sometimes it stores it and sometimes it doesn't. So put my library card number in here. Now, if you access the Wall Street Journal through pretty much any provider, be it Mizzou or Mid-Continent or your local public library or wherever, generally, this is the type of interface that you're going to get for the Wall Street Journal. And the Wall Street Journal is so important to research that they manifest as a standalone database. So ProQuest will often offer the Wall Street Journal as a standalone database. And what I'm going to do here, again, I have put in my trusty Revlon, and I can get the Wall Street Journal database entries or newspaper entries, I should say, for the Wall Street Journal. And this is for Revlon, I'm sorry. Now these are coming up by relevance. So as you can see, we are all over the place as far as dates. That's from 2002. Then we got something, the second result is this year after a 2002 result. We got 1985. So we are going all over the damn place. What we probably want to do is, again, change things, especially when you're dealing with news. So here's the thing. When you're dealing with news, a lot of times what you are going to be looking for is the most recent and pertinent news. So you probably a lot of times are going to get away from the relevant searches when you are dealing with the Wall Street Journal, and you are going to try to just find the newest information because we are dealing specifically with news here. But the Wall Street Journal articles a lot of times will not be in some of the EBSCO databases. And again, it depends on what EBSCO package your institution is working with. So I'm going to change this from relevant to most recent first. And that way, as you can see, we've got something dealing with Revlon even this month, September the 15th, 2020. And we are getting older and older to the 14th, and again, the 14th and the 10th, and so on. And that way we are not getting results that are starting us out in 2002 like we just had. And then if you want to, you can still limit results. So we're going all the way back to the 80s here, and we are going to switch this up and limit our date range a little bit more. And now everything that's showing up is from 2020 to 2029, as you can see over here in the far left-hand corner. Okay? All right, so you've got that going on. Now, a few other things that you want to be aware of when you're dealing with the Wall Street Journal, and then we will go on to the next thing. Actually, just one other thing really, and that is going to be alerts. So one thing that a lot of people like to do, they are doing company research or industry research even with the Wall Street Journal. So let's come back here, and now we're going to do this Revlon search again. But after we do this Revlon search, let's say you have somebody, a researcher, who is wanting to just go ahead and get updates as they come. So what you can do after you put in a search, you can actually save the search or create an alert. And what you can do is over here in the right-hand corner, you see the save search / alerts function here. And what you can do, yes, is create an alert. And let's say that I just want to call this alert Revlon. Search for Revlon in the database Wall Street Journal, and then you can send it to an email address. I will send it to my UMKC email address. Include search details, yes or no, that's up to you. Include highlighting, I would probably keep that on. Newly published documents only, and what I will do is I tend to do them weekly, sent on Monday. I'm actually only going to do this for about 2 weeks myself, but you can set a time of getting these alerts, and it looked like there was a lot of recent information coming about Revlon on the Wall Street Journal that they were publishing quite a bit in recent days. So you can change this to Monday, stop after 2 weeks, and then you can just create this alert. And then if any new research comes on Revlon, I will get that in my inbox for Austin J at UMKC on Monday. And that is a good way to keep an eye on what's being published in the Wall Street Journal about a particular company or industry or any keyword without having to go through the trouble of actually going into the Wall Street Journal database every single week. So make sure you keep that hint in your toolbox. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Now, while we are on this subject, of news, there's one other thing that I want to go into really quickly, and that's going to be ABI Inform. And again, this is a place to get news, and that can include company news, it can include industry news, but this is a place, again, to get information, supporting information, things that can be very useful to company research, industry research, and so forth. So if we jump in here, we've got our various options here. Let me see what happens. I'm a little curious. Let me see if I can get that same, it's not what we wanted. Let me get that same NAICS code in here. Okay. So let's get that NAICS code in, and we've changed this to NAICS codes. So let's see if we can get some industry research here for the cosmetics industry. All right, and as you can see, we've got, well, actually, I probably need to adjust the screen. Here we go. As you can see, we've got nearly 27,000 results here. And what we're going to do is we are going to, well, first of all, we have different types of results. So we have a lot of newspaper information here, and newspapers can be rather hit or miss. But if we click this more, we can see the other types of information we've got here. Let's say we wanted to exclude, especially wire feeds. I definitely don't want to deal with those, but let's deal with excluding newspapers as well. And maybe also we'll exclude the blogs, podcasts, and so forth. So we'll just have scholarly journals, reports, other sources, magazines, and trade journals. We hit apply, and we are down to 2,700 results thereabouts. And these are things, we see what type of source we've got coming out of here. So these things are largely coming out of trade journals, okay? And we can try to get the full text. If we don't have the full text, which we do in this case, and we probably are for a lot of things with this database, but if we don't have the full text, then we can go back to using interlibrary loan or a similar type of feature, okay? So we do have the full text for most of these, and that's going to be viable for what we are trying to accomplished here. Let's say that we were trying to just limit to reports, then what we could do is just include reports only. Hopefully this will take us down to 41 results, and if so, then we know we've done it right. 41 results, and all of these should be coming out of reports, and I should be able, a lot of times, to download my reports in full text. So they can be PDFs. We've got Plunkett analysis reports here. I don't know how old this one is, 2018, that's not too bad, but this will deal with the cosmetics, beauty products, and beauty supply stores industry. And we can go down through there and, you know, whatever information is available to us there, we can try to grab it. So we have that going on, and so ABI Inform is just another database that you're going to want in your toolkit as you are trying to find information either on companies or on industries. Okay, pause. All right, now one of the first things that I wanted to look at when we talked about possibly industry research or market research is going to be, and I'm back on the public library, this is not something that is accessible to my knowledge from Mizzou, but it is something that is accessible through a lot of public libraries, so you may want to check your local public library offerings, is Business Insights Global. So when we talk about markets or industries, one thing that we like to deal with is actually market share. And market share, and you can look it up, but market share, if you don't know what it is how much of the market a particular company may control based on sales or profits. So I am actually going to do, in this case, well, let's do Revlon again, because I do think that Revlon, I can get some market share reports for Revlon. Let's load these results. All right, and so if I put in Revlon, I would be brought here, and I have all these different types of things here, including, again, you can get news, so you can get news from trade journals, magazines, you can get rankings, financials, company histories, all of this stuff. I think brands will include subsidiaries. Let me just double check on that now that I've said that. Yeah, I think that these are subsidiaries of Revlon. Now, what we can do, though, is we can go back and we can look at a market share report. And the problem with Business Insights Global or Business Insights Essential, which is kind of a different version of it that has a few features, like they have varying features, and I can't remember which one has more features than the other. But, well, okay. So this is actually pretty good here. This is pretty recent. We've got some market share reports for top personal care appliance makers, small appliances. But I don't know that Revlon, maybe Revlon is in the small appliance market. I did not know that. If they were, they are listed. And this is from Market Share Reporter. Huh. Well, okay. I'll take that for what it's worth. Now, I'm going to go back, though. So when I think Revlon, I'm thinking mostly cosmetics. So like, as you can see here, top nail polish makers for 2019. And this is going to be the most recent information available. As you can see, it's got the 2021 tagline on it. But top nail polish makers, we can get that market share report. And we can see that Revlon controls relatively 8% or almost 8% of the market. So given that, we know that Revlon is a major player, but not the major player. I don't know who Coty Beauty is, but they are controlling 60% of the market, which is huge. And then you have 12% of the market from Essie Cosmetics. But then you have Revlon here, and then we've got another Coty Beauty. So you kind of have to be very vigilant when you look at these as well. But a lot of times this is the best information that's going to be available to you. But as you can see, this company is listed twice here. But Revlon is controlling 7.72% of the market. And you can go back and you can find other types of market shares as well. So eyelash curlers. That's going to be another one. And this is still probably, because as you can see, we have this in a publication. It's tagged for 2020. So it may be the most recent information available. And you can put that in. And Revlon is reportedly controlling 35% of this market share. So that is huge. And this puts some parameters on this. Market shares here are shown based on sales at supermarkets, drugstores, mass merchandisers, military commissaries, and select club and dollar chains for the 52-week period that ended on April the 16th, 2017. Total sales were, and this is industry total sales, okay, or market total sales, but not company total sales. But the total sales were 30.4 million. So if you are looking for market share reports specifically, then I would suggest that Business Insights is where you're going to want to go, and you're going to want to see if that is available through your public library. All right, give me that pause. Now, while we are not going to actually go into Hospitality and Tourism Index, this is an EBSCO database that you can use specifically if you are looking for information related to hospitality and tourism. And this was a big deal when I was working at Coastal Carolina University, as you can imagine, because Coastal Carolina University is located right outside of Myrtle Beach, North Carolina, right outside of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And so a lot of the business students that went to Coastal Carolina, they were students who were attempting to kind of establish careers in hospitality and tourism in the Myrtle Beach area, which, as you can imagine, that is a booming industry there. But we do not necessarily need to actually go into that database. Just know that it exists if you are looking specifically for hospitality and tourism information. One thing that I want to go into now is good old IBIS World. So we are going to do that. And IBIS World is great. It's my favorite of the industry sort of research databases. And so, you know, I definitely recommend just spending a lot of time getting to know good old IBIS World. Now, this time, instead of putting in a company, I am going to go ahead and put in a NAICS code. So, because I use this more so for industry, everyone uses this more so for industry research as opposed to company research. So let's put in our NAICS code there. There we go. And we'll hit search. What in the world am I looking at? Okay. So we are going to, yeah, this is exactly, there's too much stuff highlighted, and it just sent my mind into a warp. But what we're going to do is we are actually going to go into this particular, it's coming. And this interface looks a little different, so I don't know how I feel about that. I definitely think that the interface when I last looked in this looked a lot better. But anyway, so we are in the beauty, cosmetics, and fragrance stores in the U.S. The NAICS code has a root here of 44612, and then the 0 is like your general for the NAICS codes, and then you can put in other kind of roots. For instance, I'm sure there's a 22. If I put that in, well, no results there, so never mind. But but yeah, your first 5 digits are kind of your root for the NAICS code, and then things can get more specific when you put in that 6th digit. Okay, come on. All right. Okay, so I see we've got COVID-19 kind of updates going on there. If you're looking for supply chain information, you can find that here. It looks like a lot of the stuff that I would be kind of looking at is now kind of over here in the left, whereas these things were kind of more laid out, I think, in a better fashion in previous interfaces. But anyway, so we've got the about, and I think we're on about right now. Yeah, so this is about, and you have like an overview. Then if you want the industry at a glance, which is where you can start getting some good information on the industry, you can come over here to the left and do that. You can expand the menu for industry at a glance, and then you can select these different functions. Actually, let me just see if I can. Yeah. Okay, I kind of see what's going on here. It does look like there's a more logical setup with the interface now, but I still need to get used to it if I'm going to be completely honest with you. So industry at a glance, you get key statistics in snapshot form. You've got some trends coming down here. I don't see my SWOT analysis. Do I have that? Give me the SWOT of the industry if you have it. I just clicked it. And I am not saying anything. So I can go from here down to industry performance. And you have various subcategories there. Then you can go to Outlook, products and markets, competitive landscape, major companies, which is something, well, competitive landscape is going to be big always. So you can get that information here. Major companies you can get here. Revlon should be on the list, but of course, if I say they're on the list, then they're not going to be. You got Bath and Body Works, Sephora, Sally. Okay. So these look like retailers. Oh, because stores, duh. So I don't know about the product line for Revlon showing up here. Okay. But then you have, again, operating conditions, key stats, and so forth. So these are various ways that you can break down these industries. And again, I would recommend that you just go in and search IBIS World, and then also just go in and just do some in-depth playing around with it, and or looking at tutorials that you can find on YouTube. Now that there is a new interface, you're probably going to want to try to find tutorials that are dealing with the new interface. So it's been a few months since I've been in IBIS World. I probably haven't been in there since like March or April. So you may want to see if there are any tutorials that are available to you from more recently than March or April of 2020. And you can, by the way, also do like the My IBIS tour or go to the Help Resource Center, and there may be some helpful tutorials or that sort of thing there. Okay, so that's our IBIS World, and let's see what else we should look up. Hopefully I can keep this under 45 minutes. I know it's been long, but you know, this is how we learn, is we just have to go exploring. And I tell you what's out there, and then you learn more about what's out there. There's no need for me to show you all Factiva right now. Factiva does exist. It's multidisciplinary, but it's very useful for business, marketing, and industry information. Mintel, that is something that you're going to want to be familiar with. So we have Mintel here. Yeah. Okay, so we will continue and we'll go on to Mintel. And Mintel is good because Mintel is a good way to get consumer information. So remember I was talking about, like, in addition to company and industry, you can have like consumer information. Mintel is a good place to start with consumer information. There are other things that you can look at, such as Statista, if you are somewhere that has access to Statista, and then a few other resources. But Mintel is a good way to go. So let's say that we are looking at, I'm going to switch this guy up a little bit. Let's say we are looking for information on coffee or coffee and tea, something of that nature, because I have done a coffee search recently. So we can apply that filter and search. And basically, and you have to kind of go through, and again, this is why you need to practice with the database. So you see a lot of information just coming at you. And thankfully, Mintel has done a great job as far as factoring in the effects of COVID-19, okay? But we've got this going on right here. And let's say that we've got a lot of reports coming up. Now you have different content types, and we've got sorts by relevance and by date, but I'm going to leave this by relevance. And you've got all content types, but you can break it down to reports. You can break it down to expert insights, observations, news, and so forth. Now, let's say that we are going to we'll do this guy here. Coffee, and I don't know what RTD stands for, but coffee and RTD coffee. And you can basically find reports here. And you can look at different information related to behavior. You can get market overviews and that sort of thing, but you can look at behaviors of consumers and things like that. So like coffee consumption. And so this is consumer based. This one is broken down by, like we've got a graphic here that's like broken down by generation, but you can get different types of demographic data here. So we saw something related to generation there, but let's say, let me pause for a second here. Okay, against my better judgment, and I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass, but what I'm going to do is I am actually, so from this Mintel homepage, if you're looking for consumer data, what you're going to want to do is go from insights to consumer data here. All right, so I'm in consumer data. I'm going to leave the COVID-19 thing alone for right now, but let's say that I wanted to do, see, drinks. I was hoping it just have coffee there. Let's, oh, well, maybe it's under non-alcoholic. Yeah, coffee. Okay, so let's do some coffee. Let's try to get it to the United States. Interactive database. Okay. We've got information coming at us. There is a way to, all right, let me pause. Okay, I think I finally got this right, and you will be able to follow along this time. So we're going to go back to coffee. We are still in Mintel, and I'm going to try to break it down by demographics. So Mintel, we default into insights and expert analysis, but let's go into the analytics and consumer data. Okay, now we are here. I'm going to go back into coffee. So we're going to go to drinks, bada bing. No, actually, we don't want all of those. We want coffee. Let's get coffee. All right, so we're going to go to coffee, and we're going to go to the United States. Okay, that should limit us to 8 results. I'm actually going to go to this 2019 thing, the pre-COVID data. Now, as I do this, now to explore the demographics, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but it should be explore demographics. So we have coffee consumption most often, asked of internet users aged 18 plus, explore demographics. We're going to click that. I don't need that right now. And then select demographics you want to include. So we have some breakdowns here. We have gender and age going on with this table here. But I think I can look for race. And so, yeah, and then I'm going to minimize this. Actually, let me do race and Hispanic origin, because Hispanic origin isn't race. My younger brother, in fact, is half Dominican and therefore a Black Hispanic. So once I put those things in, again, remember how we defaulted to age and gender. Well, age and gender, because I'm being backwards. But we have now added race, so we are looking at data for race, and then we've also got race and Hispanic origin here. So we can have Hispanic of any race. Again, my younger brother is a Black Hispanic. And so we've got white non-Hispanic, Black non-Hispanic, which would include me, Asian non-Hispanic, and then we do have Hispanic. So you can get data on various demographics here, and we can even add more things here. So let's, we could do, for instance, the generation, and then that would be in our report somewhere. There we go, generation. So we've got Generation X and older millennials, which born in 1983, I count as an older millennial, and then Generation Z right there. All right, so that's how Mintel works, and if you want to play around with that some more, do it. We are going to keep this definitely under 50 minutes, so I'm going to stop right here. There's plenty more. If you are interested in business resources, your best bet is actually to take the business resources class. I'm just going to call it out right there. But this can give you that taste. It gives you that taste, that intro, so that you can kind of get your feet wet. So that's going to be it for business. We've actually spent 2 weeks on that, which is usually what I spend, even though I did it a lot differently this time, but still I usually spend 2 weeks on business things. Okay, so I am going to get out of here. I'm Dr. J's Peace and Grace. Please wear a mask over your face when you're in public. I'm out. Later.